Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Gavril Bandit. Or, if you hate nicknames, you can call it the Gavril Bandit, but I do like my nickname, so as far as I'm concerned, it is the Gavril Bandit. So let's start off by spawning up the 200, which is basically the base model version of the vehicle. Now, the Bandit is a 1970s vehicle, and what kind of vehicle it is can kind of be put up for debate. Some of you may say it's a pony car, others may say it's a muscle car. I personally am more on the pony car side versus the muscle car side. Could go ahead and pull up the J-beam structure then. So the J-beam structure on this vehicle is based on the Barstow, but it's modified quite a bit to fit the Bandit properly, and it seems to do a pretty good job of deforming as you would expect. Go ahead and get rid of that now. And then as for the functionality of the vehicle, you have functional brake lights, functional blinkers, and interesting enough, the blinkers on the back are actually red, kind of unusual, but the blinkers on the side here are orange and orange. And then you have your running lights on the back when you turn your headlights on. And then you have the headlights. When you have the first set of lights on, you just have the outer light on. Then when you put the high beams on, the inner light comes on. And it does make a difference with whatever you're lighting up, so all that works as expected. One thing that is kind of interesting, though, is this vehicle does not have any sort of reverse lights. So if we put this thing into reverse and just start backing up like so, you notice there's no lights on it. Now, I don't really think that's the mod author's fault. I think that was kind of intentional, because if you just have those red lights there, it really would be kind of weird having the red lights do all of that. So it's like eventually you just say, okay, we're not going to have any reverse lights because it just doesn't make sense to have that many lights or that set of lights doing that many things. So we'll take one more look at the exterior before we go ahead and take a closer look at the interior. It is pretty basic in here, but it does have a good 70s feel, like the way the steering wheel looks, the way the gauges look, the way the air vents look, and the low back seats all feel like what you would expect to see in a 70s vehicle. It does have a functional steering wheel, functional gauges, functional gas pedal, functional brake pedal, so it has all the functionality you would expect. When you turn the lights on, the gauges do get a little bit brighter. There is no indicator, though, when you have your headlights on, but that's kind of acceptable in a vehicle this old, I would say. So let's go ahead and move out of the vehicle, back behind it, and do a little bit of driving. So right now we're in manual mode, and I'm actually going to just go the other way because I usually go that way on Jungle Rock Island, so why don't we go the other way instead? Now this one, being the base model, doesn't perform that well. It has a 133 horsepower inline 6 engine, and this car isn't exactly what you would call light, so it's by no means a fast vehicle. Going up this hill on Jungle Rock Island right here, it's barely able to maintain about 42 miles per hour. It's struggling to do that. Now this one actually has a pretty decent suspension setup for what it is, though. It has an actual independent front suspension, and then on the rear it has a live axle leaf sprung, which is okay. It's not really ideal, but it's good enough for the vehicle where it's a enjoyable vehicle to drive, because the front suspension really is the saving grace on this thing. The rear suspension, it sucks, but the front is good enough to make it acceptable to drive. And I'm just trying to get up to 60 miles per hour through these little twisties, and as you can see, it's not exactly easy. Not with this wimpy engine. Now, there are much better engines in the other variants, which we'll be taking a look at in a second, but I wanted to just get some damage on this thing first, and I was hoping to do it by flinging it off the edge over here, if I can even get it to the edge. Come on, stay straight just enough for that. There we go, right into the trees. And am I in the tree? I'm out of the tree. Okay. Kind of an awkward angle to look at the vehicle because there are leaves in the way, but you can see it deformed really well. And right there, you could actually see how the front subframe can separate from the rest of the vehicle. It didn't fully separate right there, but it was really close to it. So you can see, like, you know, here's the rest of the vehicle, and then here's the front subframe, which is totally deformed differently than the rear. And I love it when you have vehicles that do that. I mean, it only makes sense on certain vehicles. Like modern day cars, they don't have that kind of design, so it would make no sense at all if the front subframe fell off on one of those. But a vehicle from like the 70s, it totally makes sense for it to have a design like that, and it's awesome when you literally tear the front off of a vehicle, and this one does allow you to do that. Now anyways, the actual deformation seems pretty decent. I noticed nothing too crazy. A little bit right there on the fender, it appears. It just spiked out all over the place. The other fender seemed to do pretty decently, though a little spiky, but it did kind of wrap itself around a tree, so that's acceptable. And otherwise, I think it looks okay. So let's go ahead and bring it back up above where the land is. And let's get a little bit of a faster version up here. Actually, let's get it on the road first. I want to make sure, okay. I wanted to make sure I wasn't at a position where if I respawn the other one, it would fall off a cliff or something. So we'll go ahead and get the 300, which is the first version with a V8 engine. It's still a pretty small V8 engine. It's only 291 cubic inches, but it does boost the horsepower up to about 215 horsepower, which is about an 80 horsepower boost over the other version. So this one is actually fast enough to be acceptable to drive. Like the other one just felt a little bit too slow to really be driving it for fun. This one is definitely fast enough to have some fun with it. It's by no means a fast car by modern standards, but it's quick enough to be enjoyable. Anyways, this one also has a dual exhaust system. The other one only had a single exhaust. This one has a dual exhaust, which goes all the way to the front. It's a true dual exhaust. It's not like one that is split just at the end, which is some cheesy looking things that you'll find sometimes. This one's actually a true dual exhaust. And then it also has some engine bay braces that should probably help with the structural strength of the front when cornering. I don't know how much they actually do, but it does have those. Otherwise, though, it is identical to the base model. So let's go ahead and do some lightweight crashes with this thing. So just, like hits like that, where it's about 20 miles per hour or so it should still keep driving, but we should have a damaged vehicle that we can drive. So right there, that looks very, very reasonable there. Tiny bit of clipping with the grill and the hood, but that is totally acceptable. So another light crash right there. Again, that looks pretty good. I see no issues there, so we'll keep doing these light crashes for as long as the vehicle can. I would expect it to do maybe 3 more before we probably start to have some issues. Do this one a little bit faster, not 40, but maybe about 30 miles per hour. That one is a little bit more on the edge. All right, again, looking pretty decent right there. The whole front grille has definitely started to shift upwards. So I'm going to start getting some serious damage pretty soon as the front crumples away and we start actually hitting the suspension. So right there, that fender is flying off, but it's holding on beautifully. And we actually have inner fenders on this thing. So that black part right there is supposed to be there. That is the inner fender. If you don't like the inner fenders, you can remove them. And for some reason, when I say inner fender, I like to say inner fender, because I try to say it too fast and I just slur them kind of weirdly like that. But you know what I mean. I mean inner fender. Anyways, let's go ahead and do another crash. About, let's do 40-ish right there. So that one's much harder than the other ones. And I expected that to actually immobilize the vehicle, but it looks like it could still drive a little bit. Like it could put the power down, but we can't steer. If we wanted to just do a burnout though, hey, this is the vehicle to use. All you do is hold the gas pedal down, you're doing a burnout, because the front wheels have so little traction. All right, clipping off that rear bumper a little bit, starting to fall off. From the back, it really kind of does look like Corvette-style taillights. Like, that's what it makes me think of, because if I think of a 70s vehicle with that kind of taillight design, the first vehicle that's going to come to mind is a Corvette. And you might, if you're not into the older vehicles, you can say, oh, it kind of looks like a Skyline, but no, this is more Corvette than Skyline. I mean, yeah, they both have the circular taillights, but that's way more Corvette-y. Like, if you look at it from this angle, you could almost think, oh, is that some sort of Corvette? It's not, but you could totally think that. I would, maybe. Like, if I saw a vehicle in real life, from driving behind it at first glance, I would say, oh, look, a Corvette. And then I'd be like, wait a minute, that's not right, as I drove closer to it. Anyways, I'm truly surprised this thing is still driving as well as it is. I actually can steer it. So I'm trying just to kind of drift it into things a little bit. And there is the drive shaft broken, so that is the total end of our little adventure right there. Did a very good job, though, of holding up. And overall damage in the front is pretty reasonable. I noticed a couple of little spikinesses here and there, but nothing too major. Like, this side did perfect. I see no issues whatsoever really with that side. Well, maybe one, but it did really well. This side a little bit more messy, but still did a very good job of holding up, as you would expect. I noticed I actually got a little bit of damage on the roof from all those front impacts. Kind of surprising. Like, you look at the rear window, and right there you can totally see that this one's deformed where the other one wasn't. And the front suspension is funny because it actually makes the rear end look jacked up. I just noticed that. Also, the missing bumper makes it look more jacked up as well. Oh, look at that bolt pattern. It's a 6-bolt. I don't even know anything about those kinds of things, to be honest. I'm just like, oh, look, you can see the bolts. That's neat. All right, go ahead and reset this then. Next up is the 400 GT, which is pretty significantly different than the 300. And we've already seen it in this color before, so let's get in a color you haven't seen before, like Tropical Sea or Blue, which is a pretty reasonable color for this vehicle. Now, there are a couple of visual differences between the 300 and the 400 GT. First, it has a little spoiler right here. Then it also has a front chin lip spoiler right here. That's the little piece below the front bumper. And that's about it for visual differences, but there are a lot of performance differences. So this one has a 353 cubic inch V8, where the other one had a 291 cubic inch V8. It also has a 4-barrel carburetor setup, where the other one had a 2-barrel carburetor setup. And that's not really important because the engine sizes are different. What's important to know is this one makes 269 horsepower at its peak, which is about 50 more than the 300. But it doesn't feel like it makes 50 more horsepower because this one has a 3-speed automatic transmission, where the other one had a 4-speed manual. Also, when you have the automatic, there is a visual difference on the inside, so the shifter looks different, and you could look at it right there and backtrack to the other one, and you can see, oh yeah, the manual looked different. But mostly, what I'm getting at is the difference between the 400 and the 300 to me isn't really the engine, it's the rest of the car. So this one has heavy-duty shocks, springs, and sway bars. And I think they're not just heavy duty, but it also increases its handling capabilities a pretty good amount, it feels like. Like, it might just be a placebo, but I swear the heavy duty parts seem to handle better than the non-heavy duty parts. But it's not just that. It also has slightly wider wheels, so you have a higher contact patch with the ground, which increases the handling even further. It also has a sport steering box, so that means the steering happens a little bit quicker. And when I'm using a controller, I do like the really fast steering because to me that is a little bit easier to handle when you're just having a controller versus like a steering wheel or a keyboard or something like that. It also has a limited slip differential on it, where the other ones up to this point just had an open differential. So to me, it's a little bit easier when you have a limited slip differential to get around the corners, just because you can kind of slide it like this and sometimes recover it, or you go so crazy trying to show you can slide it that you spin out anyways. But that's all the differences, and really the handling improvement on this one is, to me, pretty measurable. Like, this thing handles very, very well for a 1970s vehicle. And I feel really confident in this vehicle going high speeds around the corners, where the other one, I was okay with going around corners at high speeds, but this one I feel really good doing it. And I think now it's time to go a little too fast for some corners. So, like, we're going to not brake at all, try to go around this. Oh, side impact. Actually, a lot less damage than I was expecting right there. That is so little damage, I'm pretty sure we can keep driving no problem. Kind of interesting how the left door popped open on the impact, too. I don't think I hit it separate of the right door, did I? Maybe I did. I can't remember. Good, nice roll right there, yeah. Drive shaft broken, so it's not going to drive anymore. We can go ahead and flip it over, though, and take a better look at the damage. All we do is hold control, try to roll it around. I really shouldn't do this with the camera attached to the vehicle. Like, that makes it awful to do that, because it's just like every time you try to do something, it's also moving the camera, and it's like, ugh. So much easier just to do it with the cameras mounted at a location. Anyways, looking at this right here, the deformation seems pretty reasonable. I see a little bit of a kind of craziness going on with the door right there. Other door looks fine. Fender looks fine. Glass on the windshield looks a little crazy, but I guess it's acceptable. Overall, though, seems like it held up pretty decently. So now let's go ahead and move on to the next one, which is the 400X. Now this one is starting to get serious. And one thing I really love about this one is the small visual differences. First, it does have a different spoiler on it. This one's like even bigger than the other one. What I really love is the hood. So this hood right here, this is the GT hood. And when you're driving from this camera angle, I love how you can see the engine right there. It's just so cool to be able to see that. And you can also see it from this camera as well. But you can't see as much of it. Like, you right there, you just kind of see a tiny, tiny bit of it. This one, you really can see into the engine bay, it feels like, and it's cool to be able to do that. Anyways, though, this one has the same engine as the previous one, but it is supercharged. So it makes 323 horsepower. This one also goes back to the 4-speed manual that we saw in the earlier versions. So this one feels a lot faster than the 400 GT, even though the horsepower difference is only about 50-ish. 50 is just a nice round number to say all the time. It's about 50. It's about 50, and it usually is about 50. And this one also has coilovers on the front and back that allow it to handle much, much better. And the rear suspension on this one's totally redesigned. This one actually has a 4-link configuration, where the other one, like I said, was a live axle leaf sprung. It also has wider wheels than the previous one, so even more contact patch for better handling. And, because it has a 4-link suspension, it also has sway bars in the rear, where the other one didn't have sway bars, because you don't really have sway bars on a live axle. Usually, like, maybe you can, but I've never heard of such a thing. But I don't know much about live axles, to be honest with you, so maybe you can. Anyways, performance of this one though is exceptional. This thing feels more of a like 1970s street legal race car than a street car. Like, you know, when they do the ones where you like have a Group B rally car, it's like, oh, you must produce at least 500 vehicles, and then the manufacturers produce just 500. That's kind of what this one feels like, because it does not feel like what you would expect for a street car. It has very, very good handling, but it does have a really stiff suspension. Like I said, in the parts menu, I believe the coilover setup it says race. So like, it's a serious suspension on this thing. It is not going to be comfortable doing this as an everyday kind of car, but it will be good going around those corners. I think now it's time to crash it, though. Oh, how did I not crash? That is amazing. Literally 0 damage, even though I did something that crazy. I have no idea how I managed that. All right, let's try this again. We're going to slide into something. We're just going to floor it. No brakes allowed until we hit something. There we go. A pretty hard impact. Lots of deformation. Overall, seems pretty decent. I noticed a little bit of messiness here and there. This side seemed to do really well, because that's the side without the impact. The side with the impact, it still did pretty good, actually. Look at it from the inside. Camera stayed in place, which is always nice. So you can look at your driver, or your passenger. He has no legs. Your driver probably has no legs. That's going to probably be a real seriously injuring crash, especially, you know, 1970s. Car safety is not that great. And to respawn this, let's just bring it back a bit. And I do want to drive it just a bit more and do a little bit more crashing with it here. We'll just do that. Get it up to about 100 miles per hour, hopefully, and then slide it into something. Interesting. Not what I was expecting to happen, and I can't see the vehicle at all. See if we could try to pull it out of there. Can't find a node to grab. I'm too zoomed out. There we go. Oh, that's the exhaust. Oh, and I was holding control when I hit the camera. Nice. Come on, get out of there. Get out of there. Get out of there. Oh, jeez. Where'd you go? Well, we definitely have some damage on it this time. Overall, though, looking pretty good. Yeah, the driver's dead. No doubt about that, but damage-wise, it looks pretty good. And oh, goodness, we gotta... Oh, okay. See, what I was hoping to do was actually be able to separate the front subframe from the rest of the car, but that's kind of difficult to do unless you have a real high speed, and I think this road is just a bit too windy to get fully up to speed and then also swing the car into something. We'll try it one more time, but like right here, it's just kind of a wall of trees, so that's not even gonna really work out ideally. Wow! We got some air. All right, the best way to really separate the vehicle is probably going to be using the Ultra configuration. So let's go ahead and take a look at that, and then we'll change up the map to split the vehicle in half. So Ultra is the totally not street legal drag version. It has no hood at all. It has this just blown engine. You know, it is just a crazy looking engine right there. And it's an even bigger V8 than the normal one. Now, I don't know if the actual block is the same size and then they just, you know, did something to the block, or if it's a totally different block than the stock vehicle. I never looked that closely at it. But it has a stage 3 supercharger on it, and it has a 4-speed automatic drag transmission. It has drag wheels on it, and then it has no wing compared to the 400X. And the important thing to note is this thing has about 1,600 horsepower. So if we hit the accelerator, we're going to go. We are going to go. And then we're going to fly. And then we're going to splash. And then we're going to die because the car died. And we could try to drive this thing around just a bit, because it is kind of fun to try to drive a drag car, like, seriously on the streets where you floor it and then slam on your brakes. Like, to me, that's just stupid and fun. You know what? I just had a cool idea. I'm not gonna spoil it now, but it's a cool idea. It's not gonna be in this video. It's a separate video. I think it'll be cool. Let's get off of the idea before I spoil it. I don't know where the turn is, so I'm like, gas, brake, dip, gas, brake, dip. Go, don't go, go, I don't know. Yeah, let's off-road this thing. Who cares? Off-road Dragster, go! It does make noises sometimes when you're accelerating and braking, and you're like, okay, that thing just popped all of my tires, I think. Maybe one of them didn't pop. I thought I heard 4 pops, but there might have only been 3. And oh, it also broke the drive shaft. Well, I did not expect that. Not at all. Whoop. See right there, we just took off and you hear like a bang. It's like, what was that? I think some part of the suspension broke. Like, that's what I think it is. Some part of the suspension is breaking every time you hear that. That's what I would have to guess. Or maybe it's just bottoming out. I don't know. Okay, there's a crash and a roll. Like the world's slowest rollover. But I want to split the vehicle. And to split the vehicle, I think the best place to do that would be grid map. Actually, scratch that. No, not grid map. Brutal slope would be perfect for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the 400X, not the drag version, because the drag version has such fat tires in the rear and thin tires in the front that it makes it kind of difficult to really slide that car. With the 400X, you could slide it a lot easier. And we need to be able to slide to be able to split the car in half. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the far end of Brutal Slope. And on the far end, there are some trees. And if we go down into the trees and we just kind of clip a tree, we should be able to split the vehicle in half. And if that doesn't work, we could always just use the node grabbing feature to split it. But I think it's a lot cooler when you're able to crash a car and have something occur naturally versus just literally tearing it to shreds using the node grabber. Also, there's a 120-mile-per-hour crash. And of course, the vehicle lands upside down. So that means when I respawn it, it's going to also be upside down. So we have to try to like flip it upright. And truthfully, I really don't like the whole respawning it and keeping the orientation, because 90% of the time I respawn a car because it's upside down. And then it's still upside down, so I got to try to flip it with the node grabber, which is always a little awkward. I guess you could use F7 as well, but sometimes I like having F7 where we started. You know, I like having it at the start of the map if I ever need to go back there. Anyways, if we accelerate here or if we clutch in, doesn't matter. We're going to go the exact same speed. So we'll hopefully hit 200 miles per hour by the bottom, and then when we get to the bottom, or near the bottom, we'll just start sliding all over the place, and hopefully we'll hit a tree in a way that splits the car. It's like right here, 200-ish. Go left, right. Not quite. Not quite split. Try it one more time. I'm sure the second time we'll get it. We almost had it the first time. It's actually, you know, pretty rare to have a crash where you'll actually split the car. You know, if you're actually regularly driving, basically never you're gonna have a car crash that does this. But if you force it, it's cool when it happens. So again, 200 miles per hour. We'll just wait. And then slide it. All right, that is exactly how you'd want to hit it, right there. We're going to hit the tree right kind of in the middle of the vehicle. So the middle of the vehicle will kind of grab onto it. And the front should just fall off. Perfect. That is exactly the way it was supposed to look. And there goes the front subframe. Totally separate of the rest of the car. And it still has some momentum behind it because at 16 times slow-mo, it's still moving. There you go. That is how you split the car in half. It's a very, very violent crash. And you wouldn't even know that the front half is missing here. You would just look like it crashed really bad, but it is over there. Now let's go ahead and make our way to grid map once again and do a little bit of basic crashing there before we finish up the video going back to Brutal Slope and then Leap of Death. So the first crash I want to do does take a little bit of preparation, but I think it'll be worth it because it'll be a pretty interesting looking crash. So we're going to need 3 bandits. A trio of bandits. Whoops, that's not the bandit. Here we go. Just missed my button. And I'm trying to pick colors that I don't think we've used really. So like green, yellow, kind of ugly colors compared to the stocks, but we haven't seen them yet. And then we'll get one that's a 200 in like brown. Have you seen brown before actually on the 400, haven't you? How about the maroon? And that one's a replace. And the reason I include the preparation is that way I don't have to make a separate video explaining how I do a crash. Because if I do that, then it's just like, why would I, like, it's just annoying as a viewer. Like, you're watching something and you gotta figure out, oh, how did he do that? Oh, I gotta look up another video that explains that. And it's just easier to just be like, oh, that's how he did it. He showed it right there, you know? That's why I always show the preparation. So first, bring in the yellow over here. Accidentally hit change camera, didn't mean to do that. Kind of a funky looking deform right there. Doesn't really matter too much. And we'll just park that right there. Then we'll grab the next one and just teleport it over because it's a little bit faster to do that. And we'll accelerate it a bunch, bring it about 100 miles per hour away from the car we were just using. Yeah, use 100 miles per hour as a distance. Deal with it. I can do that if I want to. So that's 110 miles per hour away, 120 miles per hour away. We're going to go ahead and spin it around. Park it right there. And now we got to do the testing aspect. So we're going to freeze physics, hit the accelerator on that. Go to this one. Also hit the accelerator on it. And then we're going to see at what point the two vehicles come into contact with each other. I know the alignment's not going to be perfect, so I'm going to have to adjust that with the yellow car only. So right there, that is the moment of impact. And wow, that is an impact. About a combined speed of 200 miles per hour. So that's a killer impact. But that's not what I was here for, actually. That's just the preparation. What I want to do is I want to bring that car over to these ones. So we're going to just teleport it right here for now, so we kind of have a location idea. Let that crash happen. We can take a look at the crash. Yeah, deformation everywhere. I mean, when you have a crash that hard, though, it's always going to have a lot of deformation. So anyways, we will reset that car. Reset that one, and I got to count where that thing is. So it's just a few over. Got it. Then we're going to grab this one, and we're going to just move it to like right where that crash happened, basically. So I see a little bit of a skid mark, so I assume that's right there. And then we'll freeze physics, hit the accelerator, unfreeze physics, and we should be able to squish that car right in between these two cars. At pretty much the exact same time. That's looking pretty close. That is close enough for me as far as, you know, just a real quick and dirty kind of test. That is perfect. It's interesting. The front is actually getting damaged already, and then it's really getting damaged there. Let me get a different camera angle on this thing real quick. Try to find a good one. I don't know, there's just so much going on. It's hard to find a good camera angle. How about right I guess it's kind of like they're all kind of good. How about right here for now? The middle car is just a blob at this point. Yeah, middle car blob. Speed it up. I love it when they're all in the air. Like nonsense like that. Like, it's not really nonsense, but it looks like nonsense. It's just like the cars are flying now. I love when that happens. And then they're like tornado. Time to helicopter mode. Alright, so I thought that was a pretty neat crash. Severe damage to everything. Everything is destroyed. The red car is really destroyed. Wow. Alright, let's do the same thing. But this time I wanted to, well, actually, we'll move the car up a bit because it seemed like that would be beneficial. So we'll move it to like right there. And then I want to hit it on the sides. So same idea though. Freeze, accelerate, accelerate, unfreeze, and away we go. So I see no reason why this won't work. Oh, this is going to be beautiful. Okay, one's going to hit it on the left, one's going to hit it on the right. That should be even cooler, I would think. And the timing is going to be on point on this one. It's going to be like boom, boom. I mean, this is 100 times slow-mo. So if there's a 1 second delay here, it's on 1/100th of a second, you know? Now, this might even be enough force to somehow partially separate the front subframe. I don't think it would fully separate it, but it could do enough to partially. Not enough. Kind of hard to get a good angle on this one because I'm focused on the wrong car. Let's switch this to the red car. That one's the middle of it, so it's a little bit easier to get a nice angle. All of the crash is pretty much over. That was like a weird crash. Like, it just went tap, tap, and away. The overall damage to the red car is so much less than the other crash. I guess part of it was because these cars still had momentum after the crash, right? Like, they hit it and they kept going. The other one, they hit it, and because they were hitting right into each other, basically, with a car in the middle, they stopped and crushed it. Interesting. So maybe we should crush it between the two. Why not? All right, which car is which? This is freeze, accelerate, unfreeze. And I think we just basically hit the middle of the car and we should be okay. I don't think we have to do really anything like only hitting the front or back, because the other green one seemed pretty centered the first time. Maybe a little bit. Okay, just the back. It looks like it shifted a little bit more than last time. Like last time it was a little bit biased towards the back. This time it's totally just hitting the back. Ha! It like crashed through the red one and just crashed into each other. Interesting. Go ahead and real time that. Huh, so what if we remove the yellow, remove the green, and what did the red look like? Red is screwed up, man. Hey, the driver might be okay though, because like, oh, never mind. No, the door in the front did get pushed in a lot. I thought for a second it didn't get pushed that much. It did. He is still dead. Everybody's dead. Anyways, I think that'll do it for all the crashing we're gonna be doing, because I'm bored of that. So time to go to Brutal Slope. For this, we will use the drag one, see if it works. If not, then we'll switch it out. I have no idea how well the drag one will do for this. Super fast acceleration, and I know I'm not in the right angle. I just want to see how it does, and we should be able to get it to where I want it to go if we need to. So I guess it will work. Now to get it in the right orientation, that's going to be a little bit more tricky. We'll just hit that wall. I mean, a wall is a wall, right? You don't need to hit one wall or the other wall. Just hit one wall. Get the slow-mo ready. And go. That one, the car disappears. Car just disappears. And then the springs go stretch. Well, that's about what I would expect to see, especially from a car from the 70s. Go in reverse. This car don't like reverse. Okay, don't go in reverse. Go forward. Oh, I'm hitting the gas pedal, but it's still going in reverse. That's weird. I broke the drive shaft by tapping the accelerator. What? Too much traction, man. Like, I was trying to go slow, so I was tapping it, but it's just like 1,600 horsepower plus tons of traction. Yeah, that's bad. Bad news. So, to the convertibilizer. Also, it's nice that these runs are so fast because the car is so fast. We get to the bottom so fast. Fast, fast, fast. I said fast a lot. But it's like, boom, we're hitting 200 miles per hour before you know it. Full speed convertibilizer, just cuz. That looks pretty good convertible. Oh, the camera didn't work though. This is my convertible drag car. It's super aerodynamic except for the engine that sticks up a mile. Because I got that blown engine, man. All right, next up. And to finish things up, Leap of Death. And for this, we could go ahead and just use the drag one and see how far it can fly. I think that might be kind of interesting. Get a different color like red so it stands out good. You can see all the parts from a mile away. Nice and careful, and gun it. About 100 miles per hour, so we're definitely going to miss the first few ledges, and they're going to really go down. And I hit the jump at kind of an angle. If I didn't do that, we would have went even farther, but this thing's going to have a huge hit. We'll do this one real time, then slow-mo afterwards. It's going to be like 3 hits and then it hits the water. Maybe even just 2 if it hits it right. Just 2. Ha! That's crazy. 2 hits. Now, what if we floor it from the very start? Nope, nope, nope. Don't do that. We gotta get just careful and then floor it. Much better angle, so we're gonna fly even farther probably. It looks like we're gonna have another 2-hitter. You know, if we get really lucky, we might even have a 1-hitter, but I don't think that'll happen. Drive shaft broke while in the air. That's unexpected. Okay, this might be a 2-hitter or a 3-hitter because of the angling. There's like hit 1, and then it doesn't really bounce from hit 1. So here's hit 2. Although it's gonna bounce off of hit 2, and it's gonna go to the water probably off of that. Or at least it's gonna be really close. Come on, make it to the water. All right, and I noticed the vehicle never caught on fire, so I'm assuming that's a feature that is not implemented, but as you saw, there was at least drive shaft breakage. And I don't believe there was any sort of overheating or anything like that for the vehicle, because I never had any sort of radiator damage or anything like that. Anyways, that'll do it for the Bandit. Till next time, this has been WhyBeAre. I'll see ya. Oh, that looks so funky. Whoa, that almost looks like a totally different vehicle from this angle. Like, I would have not known the rear of the vehicle looked like it did before the crash from that angle. Here, I probably would have been able to realize it. The other one, it almost looks like a AMC Gremlin kind of look to it. Like, it looks like a Gremlin that got deformed. That just looks funky, dude. Oh, man, I can't get over that one.